weekend watch. It's going to be just myself and Andrew Mount again this week, which we seem to do just fine as regards the winners, thanks to Andrew, not me, as Daryl still isn't well enough. So best wishes to Daryl, and hopefully he'll be back with us next week. We'll be covering races from Ascot and York, and then if Andrew's got anything from anywhere else, as always, he will give that to us at the end. Andrew well and truly cast a shadow over us all last week with his tips. A 40-1 winning nap with Stone Niffic, which was amazing. He was real positive about that horse's chances and that it was overpriced. So a lot of our listeners on my social media and on the video as well commented to say that they backed Stone Niffic. So well done to all of you. And to Andrew as well. He also gave us Frankie de Burley. That was 11-1. That was a winner. And Divinely as well was placed at 11-1. So all double figures there. Did really well. So well done to Andrew for that. We go to Ascot to start with them. We've got a fillies race for the 150 Group 3. I thought this was an intriguing race, Andrew. I actually really like the chances of Nymphadora in this. I thought definitely a super solid each way prospect. Obviously, that York race that she won, the form has been franked by Canonised, who's come out and won 2 since. I thought a really messy race for Nymphadora in the Queen Mary, so I'm kind of half happy to put a bit of a line through that, Andrew.
Yeah, she was only just behind Desert Dreamer that day at Royal Ascot, although she had a slightly better draw, more towards the near side. Desert Dreamer was down the middle, and of course Desert Dreamer's franked the form with 2 good second places since. But yeah, given how close they were to each other that day, perhaps 3-1 Desert Dreamer, 8-1 Nymphadora is a bigger gap than it probably should be, and she certainly shaped Nymphadora as though the step up to 6 would suit, so I wouldn't rule her out. I do quite like the aforementioned Desert Dreamer, though, and it's interesting that this one ran at the July Festival at Newmarket last time in the Group 2 Duke of Cambridge Stakes. Now, the last 4 horses to finish runner-up in that race at Newmarket and then come here a couple of weeks later have all won in, I think it was 2015, 2017, 2018 and 2012. So there's some strong stats there for Desert Dreamer. I thought she might be able to confirm to reverse the form with System, who beat her that day. But I thought System and Desert Dreamer are both going to go well again, and Nymphadora, those were my 3. I didn't like Nazanin, whose debut win at Newbury came on soft ground, and that form hasn't worked out. I mean, there is a little bit of doubt about the going. I mean, they're calling it good to firm at the moment. I've just looked at the weather forecast for Ascot. There's loads of rain forecast for Saturday morning and more throughout the afternoon. So do keep an eye on that if you've got a ground-dependent horse on Saturday. But I was going to go Desert Dream over Nymphadora in our opening race.
Okay, and obviously Desert Dreamer, that little bit shorter single figures, about 3-1 I've got at the moment, and Nymphadora is about 8-1, so I suppose you could perhaps do both, do Desert Dreamer to win and Nymphadora each way. We could try and play the forecast, but it is a fairly wide open race, that, and of course we've got a fair few that form ties in as well, so that always makes it a little bit more difficult. We've got the 225 at Ascot up next. It's a Class 2 handicap over a mile. Got any strong fancy in this, Andrew?
Yeah, this is a fascinating little race. Only 7 runners. The first thing I looked at was the pace angle. I mean, generally speaking, on the straight track at Ascot, I like horses who come from midfield or further back. But when you get small fields like this, you can get horses to make all. The likely pace is Fantastic Fox, who went off stupidly quick here last time out. That was over 10 furlongs, coming back in triple suit. The slight concern is the way Sylvester de Souza's riding Ascot at the moment. Since racing resumed after lockdown 1 last year, he's had 57 rides here. Only one of those 57 has won. That was Art Power, who was, I think, 6-4 favourite for that 5 furlong handicap at Royal Ascot last year, winning off 97. And his mark's up to 115 after finishing 4th to Starman in the July Cup. So he was clearly well in that day. So maybe if SDS gets the fractions right, Fantastic Fox can go well from the front. But there are others I was more interested in. Now, I love Isla Kai. This one is 0 from 2 on his seasonal debuts, but 4 from 4 under other conditions. So he's never lost when he's had a run. The downside is those wins. The wins have come on good to soft or soft. And he's also switching from a round mile to a straight mile. I'm not 100% convinced that that's going to suit either. And I thought maybe Latest Generation could be the one to side with here. It ran a really good race at Ascot last time. It was a Newmarket, sorry. It was a big advantage to race up with the pace. He's come from right out the back, only got beaten half a length that day. If you look at the winners of that meeting, it was very, very difficult to make up ground from off the pace. And so he was beaten half a length by Royal Fleet. The winner that day for Charlie Appleby was sort of on the front end throughout. And the third in that race, John Quinn's Titan Rock. Although almost 3 lengths back in third, I thought he could go well if running here. So I'm going to back Latest Generation. I'm probably going to have a saver on Titan Rock and maybe do the forecast, because if that Newmarket's form is good as I think, then there's no reason they can't finish sort of 1-2 here.
And if the rain came, you'd be more considerate then to Isla Kai, and it'd make it even more difficult. I
almost feel guilty deserting Isla Kai because he's a horse I've got a lot of time for. I think he's very progressive. Nigel Tinkle does well with this type. There's kind of horses that can progress very quickly to group company and even end up in the Breeders' Cup. But in terms of the ground, just having a look through, anything slower than good might be a little bit of a concern for Latest Generation. But I assume Ascot are not going to water because of the forecast. And then who knows? It could be good to firm in places, or it could be soft by post time. So again, it's just another something to keep an eye on this week.
Okay, on to the 3 o'clock then. International Stakes over 7 furlongs. Difficult race this, and based on lots of recent stats, I think in the last 20 years, you want a highest draw and you want a 4-year-old. I'm going to put up a horse in this who's let me down a few times, and I think I may have put him up on this at the start when we first started the weekend watching. It's Acquitted, who Andrew will know is a bit of a tricky customer at times. He can hang one way or the other, so it's nothing to do with tracks. He just isn't the most easy horse in the world, but we see plenty of horses who are difficult, and if the penny just drops right and the races run to suit, so does need to put his best foot forward. But stall 22, which should be perfect. High draws well favoured at the last meeting. I do think he's got a lot of talent, and in this kind of race, I think at the price, I would be happy to kind of risk him. Last price I saw, I think it was about 16-1. I'd be happy to risk Acquitted to at least get into a place. So that is going to be the bet I'm going to have in the International. It is a race that I do like, but it's a difficult one, Andrew.
Yeah, I'd try and find a bookmaker who's offering prices on horses to finish exactly second. I know one or two do, and Acquitted is a horse I've got a lot of time for. He's very talented, but my goodness, he doesn't have the habit of finding one too good. Yeah. But in terms of an each way play on a track like Ascot, he couldn't put you off at all. It's a obviously very tricky one. You've got Mondammej, who is usually impressive in the Bunbury Cup, winning that for the second year in a row. Can he do it away from that track? Well, he has won here before. And if you look at his full record in 7 furlong handicaps, 3 wins from 4 starts, 2 wins in the Bunbury Cup, a win at Ascot, and a defeat in the Victoria Cup earlier this season when soft ground just didn't play to his strengths. So no reason why he can't go well here, but it's just at the price and with the prospect of rain around, I wouldn't really want to touch him at 9-2 now. So there was quite a few others that I thought at bigger prices were of interest. Star of Orion for Rafe Beckett. He's got a claimer on this one, Laura Pearson book, claiming 5. And you could make money backing all Rafe Beckett handicappers when he uses a claiming jockey. Go back to 2010, you're looking at a profit of over 57 quid to a £1 level stake. Most of those wins have come in class 3 or lower, though. He's 2 from 29 in these class 2 big handicaps. So, but I still think Star of Orion has prospects. Raising Sand ran a brilliant race at Royal Ascot in the Buckingham Palace Stakes. He's a horse who's regarded as needing sort of good to soft or soft to going. It's good to firm that day. He's won the race on the far side, finishing 6th overall. That was a cracking effort. So again, he won't mind if the rain comes. And Cliffs of Capri and Ropey Guest, they finished 1-2 on the far side in the Bunbury Cup. And I think it was like 7th and 8th overall. Both run well at this track. So I'll go Star of Orion, but it was sort of Star of Orion, Raising Sand, Cliffs of Capri, Ropey Guest. It's the kind of race you can have 4 or 5 each way stabs in, really, and sort of hope for the best. But Star of Orion have had to be pinned down to just 1 at this stage.
Yeah, okay. And obviously the weather might affect the choice as well, depending on if the rain comes or not.
Yeah, exactly.
So, of Raising Sand.
So as we often say, just keep an eye on my column on sort of Friday night, Saturday morning, and I'll probably wait until the morning to put the selections up to see what the weather's doing.
Okay, yeah. So as you say, we at the time of recording, we are Thursday at the moment, so the ground could change between now and then, and if it does, we will, as always, do our best to let you know if they change their mind, or if I have. But yeah, Acquitted for me is about 20 is what I've got here. Star of Orion is 16s, Cliffs of Capri 20s with Raising Sands, and Ropey Guess is 25. So any of those, if you fancied any of those with me or Andrew, huge prices, loads of value, and I know lots of bookmakers as well give you extra places at a lesser price if you want to try that on a few of them. The feature race then is a Group 1 at 3:35. Andrew, you might think I'm a mental here. I know that Love is a super horse, and that is without question, but Lone Eagle is going to be my nap this week. So I think very shrewd Martin Mead. We talk all the time, don't we, about him being a small trainer. He doesn't have lots of horses, but he has plenty of runners and winners in good races, really. I really like him as a trainer. I thought that form behind Hurricane Lane last time was super solid. Hammered them the time before at Goodwood. The form beat Yabia. That form has been frank since then. So I'm going to stick with Lone Eagle for the 3:35. I hope Love runs well, but I think Lone Eagle's the value in that feature race.
Yeah, I'm with you on Lone Eagle. I did an anti-post preview for GG for this race on the website a few days ago. Sided with Lone Eagle. I say Martin Mead's in great form at the moment. Shortly before we came on air, he had Zachariah winning the first race at Sandown. That's on Thursday afternoon. And this one went into my tracker for a run in a nursery at Doncaster last September when there was a really strong headwind. He's made the running. That day, I'm just laying in running any horses and anywhere near the front end. I'm thinking, well, this is free money with Lone Eagle, and then he's only gone and won, hasn't he? So that was a bit expensive. So I followed him since. He's then gone to Newmarket. He's won in Group 3 company. This season ran as though that reappearance effort were needed, went fourth at Sandown. He's then gone to Goodwood. And again, the track was eating front runners alive that day. And I think, again, it was headwind related. And he still managed to win by 4 lengths from Yabir. Last time out, felt really sorry for him, just getting chinned by Hurricane Lane in the Irish Derby. It was still a great effort, wasn't it, in defeat? Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. And although Ascot round course doesn't always favour this prominent style. You look at the last meeting and the win of Vindelander in a handicap. Again, they just kept rolling in front and nothing was sort of coming from off the pace. So that gives us hope that Lone Eagle can do the business here and make all the running, or certainly make most of it. Maybe he'll try to take a lead early doors. Depends what his rivals do tactically. But I was really impressed with his performance in the Irish Derby, and I thought at the prices, what is he, 11-2 or thereabouts? I'd rather back him at that price than Love at 6-5. I mean, Adair, the Derby winner, overcoming the Stall 1 Hoodoo. I mean, you can back any horse who was drawn Stall 1 over 1.5 miles at Epsom on the next start and make a profit, whether they won or finished 19th at Epsom. So Adair will certainly be on my radar. I was quite, happy to do a sort of forecast the 2-3-year-olds there, Adair and Lone Eagle, because it's going to be a cracking race. And I'm with you on Lone Eagle, so I'll be rooting for your nap.
Yeah, 7-1, 13-2 I've got at the minute on a couple of different sides for Lone Eagle. So absolutely, as you say, I hope that Love does run well, but that would be my selection as well. So we are in agreement for the feature race. That's good. Any of the races at Ascot that we've not got scheduled?
No, nothing else at Ascot.
Okay, so we move over to York then, a bit further up north, not far from me. The 205, love these kind of races. It's a jump jockey's flat race, something to enjoy. We've actually only had a couple of runnings of this, Andrew, haven't we? So stats probably not that helpful. Any strong view either way in this?
Paul Midgley runners are obviously of interest. The last time this race was run was in 2019. Nibras again won it. He also won the inaugural running in 2017 with Tyleri Wonder. And I was interested in Nibras again. I know he's got sort of multiple entries as per usual, Paul Midgley.
Nibras again.
Yeah, Nibras again. I like what you've done there. So
interested in him again.
Exactly. And I thought, in terms of, the mark, I mean, he was, I think that was his only previous visit to York. The ground's going to be quick in his favour, and he's obviously been sort of aimed at this again.
Yeah.
And he was just sort of one of several you could give a chance to. Midwinster, James Watt, 2 other Paul Midgley runners would have a squeak as well. But we've got Jonathan England riding as well. I mean, I've no no idea whether that's a good thing or a bad thing in terms of riding in flat winners. But I just side with the horse who's likely to be ridden up with the pace, likes the track, who's obviously won the race previously. I just thought he was probably going to provide a bit of value as well, given who was on it.
Yeah, I would imagine no matter who in this race we sided with, we're not going to know how good they are on the flat. We don't get to see them out. But yeah, Jonathan England's mount, Nibras again. I think currently, again, just what we've got at the moment is about 8-1, I think. So each way value, 12 runners at the moment. So Nibras again there. I don't have a fancy in that. 240 at York is a class 2 handicap, a dash over 6 furlongs. I'm gonna stick with Mondammej again. He's a horse we've talked about loads on this, haven't we, Andrew? I know, I can hear you saying. He's not easy. And I said on this podcast, I was at Newcastle the day this horse won on debut. He is a big horse. I actually spoke to Cam Hardy recently when I was at Wolverhampton. I was working there, and Cam rode a winner. I asked him about Mondammej. I said, oh God, how well he ran in that last race at Ascot, and he's like, he's got a big one in him, this horse. He was so unlucky to just not quite get there. He was only beaten the shortest of margins into third, and I do think he's got a big one in him. He thinks that they've kind of touched wood, got him right now and settled him down, and that will bring out more ability, because he spends a lot of his time being naughty, being evasive, wasting energy, getting warm. So hopefully, if he can just keep a lid on things, literally, Mondammej will kind of finally go and win. I say a big one, class 2 handicap, and then hopefully on to better things. So I'm going to stick with Mondammej.
Yeah, my notes for Mondammej just in my tracker just say head case. He's very talented. He's the kind of horse you probably should be running him in group races. He could be a bit like Arecibo, because he'll finish second in a Group 1 or second, in a sort of fairly low grade handicap, the lowest they could get him in. So I think he'll run well as long as he doesn't completely blow the start. Well, saying that, even if he does, he's shown he can do it. Is York his track? We see it time and time again. Sprinters, winning from up with the pace. Even on paper, when you look at a race like this, you think, oh crikey, there's 5 or 6 who like to make the running here. The pace still holds up, and it can be hard to come from the back. So, I mean, I was using previous runnings of this race as a guide, and we've got the usual suspects. Muscika for David O'Mara won this last year off a mark of 87, runs off 88, and the jockey claims. Angus Villiers on for the first time since they won over course and distance last October. He was a close second at 20-1 in this race in 2019. He was favourite, beat a neck when in 2018 when a 4-1 favourite. You look at his course record in sprint handicaps when his handicap marks below 90, as it is here. Third, second, first. The second place came when he was drawn on the wrong side of the track, and he won the race on the far side. He's obviously been laid out for this again. He's run pretty well once or twice this season against biases. I was really impressed with that run at Epsom on Derby Day, when he's gone off really quick and set it up for the closers. Still held on for second place. And again, so Muscika's the main play. The others I like, a couple of Tim Easterby, trainer with a good record in this race. Golden Apollo was second last year, and he's £3 lower this time around. Last time out, ran at Pontefract when it was, best to be come down the near side in the straight. He stayed on the far side, and only just got beaten into second that day. So that was a run that could be marked up. So as well as finishing second last year, he was fourth in the race in 2019. And his stablemate, Flying Pursuit, who he beat at Pontefract, again, Flying Pursuit was third that day, staying on the far side when the winners come down the near side. He won this race in 2017 and in 2018. He was fifth in 2019 when he wasn't best drawn. He was the first home on the stand side. Didn't run in the race last year. So yeah, Muscika, Golden Apollo, and Flying Pursuit in that order. Just three, the usual suspects. Book their ticket for this race. Very early, and you'd be hard pressed to see, one or two of them not running well here again into the frame.
Yeah, it's that kind of race, isn't it? We've got 16 runners at the time of declaration anyway, so. Loads to choose from. All Andrew's selections there are fairly big each way prices. I think Muscika the biggest of those, so about 16-1 I've got for Muscika at the moment, but it's about 6 or 7 to on the field. So really difficult race, so don't hold us to account for that one too much. The 3:15 at York is Group 2 over a mile and a quarter. And Andrew, I suppose the big question mark after not seeing him in the Derby, which was gutted about because I was there, how good it is Mohafeth? Obviously, we saw him in the Hampton Court last time.
Yeah, he won that, justifying strong favouritism, 11-8 favourite that day. That was his fourth straight win. He's very progressive. Just a slight concern about the sort of the previous winners of this race. I think in the last 10 years, those who prepped at Ascot have won from 16. And it often goes to a horse who's stepping down in class from Group 1 company. And that's why I was sort of drawn to Armory. Now, Aidan O'Brien hardly ever has a runner in this race. I think he's only had one. Certainly, in the last 20-odd years, he's had one. That was Eagle Mountain, who was second in 2007. And I think something like 5 of the last 10 winners were stepping down from Group 1 company. You could back those blind, make a profit of £13, 44 pence to a £1 level stake, only 17 qualifiers for those 5 winners. And the fact that Armory is coming here, say the trainer's first runner in the race for 14 years, I thought that was significant. And much as I respect the favourite, I thought at the prices I'd rather take a punt on O'Brien.
Okay. Just try and get. I think Mohafeth currently is about 6-5, and Armory is about 2-1. So yeah, is the value in there? That is it for the scheduled races. Is there anything else you like at York?
Yeah, there's one in the 5 o'clock for Richard Hannon called Mark of Gold, who has hardly set the world alight in 3 starts, I think it is, this season, but always tends to come to hand late summer. You look at his sort of record last year. He was second at Yarmouth, second at Pontefract in late July. He's then won in August and September, and it's the same every year really. Just tends to come to hand at this time of year. I was hoping he was going to run at Ascot rather than here. I thought that the course might suit him better at Ascot, but I'll still think I'll have a few quid on Mark of Gold, because maybe we're getting there a race too soon and we're not going to see the best of him until next month. But I think we're going to see him show a lot more than he has done in his 3 previous runs this term.
I'm taking you on, actually. I found something somewhere else, which I don't often do I?
No.
And I tell you why, because it went against my nap yesterday. I was going to nap in this race, and I chose another one. But did you see Come On Kenny yesterday, win at Sandown?
I didn't know. I was off yesterday.
So it won in a bumper, didn't it? And then they started it out over a mile, and it ran over 7.5 a couple of times. Nowhere near quick enough. It ran at Chester, didn't it, and stayed on so well in the closing stages over 7.5 furlongs. Stepped it up in trip yesterday. It was out the back of the TV. Like, there was no way it could have won from where it did. Literally got up on the line because they stepped it up in trip in the apprentice race.
Cheek pieces on Saturday. I thought that was. I never know what to make of horses who've won and then get first time head gear the next time.
What I think it was? I think because it's a bit slow. I think the actual horse took longer to pick up than they perhaps thought. As in, he looked like he wasn't going to get there, but I think he's just a bit slow and it just took a bit of winding up. But he gets to run in that 5 o'clock. Obviously, no penalty because it was an apprentice race as well. So I think Come On,
that is a positive stat as well. Trainer Ian Williams with first time cheek pieces do show a good profit over the years.
Okay, so Come On Kenny's going to win that race, Andrew, not Mark of Gold. Sorry.
I'll settle for second.
I should have put that in as well, perhaps. Anyway, I haven't now. Anything from anywhere else?
Yeah, there's a couple of interesting ones at Newmarket. In the 450 Nomadic Empire. Was only in mid-division at Ascot last time, but actually did second best of those to race on the far side of the track. I thought the market might overreact to that performance because it doesn't look great on paper.
Which race is that, Andrew?
The 450 Newmarket.
Okay. Yeah. And
then, the time before he was runner-up at Doncaster doing best of the prominent races when it was set up for the closers. So, I thought there's a lot more in Nomadic Empire's last 2 runs than it looks like by looking at his form figures. And in the 520 at Newmarket, our old friend Mr. Wagyu, trained by John Quinn, a horse who's just got an incredible record at this time of year. He's had 24 runs in June and July, 12 wins from those 24, huge profit backing him blind. He's had a couple of near misses recently. He was favourite for the Scottish Stewards Cup at Hamilton last week. And they've gone like the absolute clappers in that race. He's finished 3rd. The winner, the 2nd, the 4th have all come from well back. And he's done brilliantly to hold on for a place. Although it looks on the face of it slightly disappointing because he's a favourite and he's only finished 3rd. But it was a really good effort. Newmarket suits his front running style. I mean, ideally, you could argue that he's perhaps better on flat tracks at the likes of York and Haydock. But I thought, Mr. Wagyu, before we get to the 31st of July, where he just sort of looks at his watch and says, I'm done now. Leave me out. I'm going to start, running down the field a bit and come back next June. And so he could run another, he's probably got time to run another, get another win or two, I'd have thought, before the end of the month. So, maybe he can start with that 5:20 at Newmarket on Saturday.
Let's hope that Jamie Spencer's on one of his good going days then, because both the ones you've given at Newmarket are ridden by him, aren't they?
Oh, crikey.
Didn't notice you've given two Jamie Spencer holiday. Okay.
Pray for a late jockey change. No, he's...
no,
and Spencer is very good from the front, which, because most of his rides are ridden patiently, when he does get on one that is up with the pace, as Mr. Wagyu is likely to be, they tend to run pretty well.
You haven't got the chance of him not getting there in time.
No.
Okay,
Nap. Oh, crikey. I've you put me on the spot there. Probably should see how many times we've done this show.
Well, mine's gonna be Lone Eagle anyway. We know that in that feature race at Ascot 3:35. I'm gonna stick with Lone Eagle, I think.
Right. I'm gonna go Muscika. That 240 at York, last year's winner. 16-1 available at the time, I think.
If that doesn't drift out to 40, so that we get another 40-1 winning that, you're in trouble. Okay, super. Don't forget as well, looking at naps for this week, Andrew gave us a 40-1 winning nap last week, which was super stuff. So just make sure you check those
remember,
out.
The value of your investment can go down as well as up. So it's not like this every week. So keep those stakes sensible. And if you won a few quid last week, maybe bank it.
Yeah, well, no, use some and bank some, and then you've got your profit still. Then if you're super again this week, you can just keep going like that. And everything will be perfect. That's it then, guys, I think, for all our scheduled races. Andrew's give you a few extra ones in there as well. I think depending on, don't quote me, how Daryl is feeling, he may do his written blog, or he may put a little bit either on GG or his own social media. So if you do follow his tips specifically, he might be able to sort some out for you as well. Just not well enough to do the video as of Thursday. Thanks very much for watching. We had record views as well last week, so extra thank you to all the new viewers and all the old ones as well for sticking with us. Don't forget to check out GG.CO.UK, all those race cards, extra videos and tips as well. Andrew Mount, obviously Trend Horses is his Twitter, his personal, if you want to have a look at his own social media as regards tips and the extra stuff on the day depending on the rain. And mine is at Leonna Mayor, I'd imagine, I guess. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next week.